Hello and welcome back to the channel. Hey, I'm Ron with Ideal Industries, and in this segment I'd like to talk about Ideal Punchdown Tools, and specifically our catalog number 35-485, which is more or less our pro version of the tool. So let's move over to shop and we'll take a look at it. You know, techs have been using punchdown tools to terminate phone and data wiring for a lot of years. You know, your catenary cabling, your POTS wire, that kind of good stuff. And something big changed in a lot of years ago. And one thing was that this connections changed quite a bit we used to make up. You know, the old connections like this, basically you strip a conductor, wrap it around a screw, and tighten her down to make the connection. Today, almost everything we find is called IDC connections. And these connections, and when you look at this, is considered IDC, by the way, and these are considered IDC as well. And what you have in here is a little slot with a V-notch cut blade inside that slot. And that allows us to insert a conductor in the slot. And when we drive the conductor into the slot, it cuts through the jacketing and bites into the copper, making a connection for us. And actually has a gas-tight seal, so it seals it for corrosion as well. And so all connections we do pretty much are IDC. Now the punchdown tool, basically the way we use it, we'll lay a conductor in that slot, and the tool will kind of straddle the connection over that connection, or the cable over that connection, and we'll drive the tool down into the connection. It will drive the wire into the connection. In most cases, we'll also trim off any extra wire we don't want left over. So again, about everything today is IDC. Now, when you go out and buy punchdown tools, you can get some very inexpensive punchdown tools, and they may only last you maybe 5,000 cycles before the spring in here breaks on you. And these tools have an impact in them. They actually drive the wire down in the conductor into the connection, which is what we want to have. A tool like this will last you several 100,000 cycles, so it's more of a pro version. But you can also get these that don't have the impact, and they're a little less money. And you can even at times get little plastic ones like this in the packaging. And I tell guys, don't throw these away because, you know, stick that in the bottom of the pouch, because when you leave this tool on the last job, you might actually have some still in your pouch that might actually do some terminations. But as a general rule, you want a tool that looks like this and has a nice impact on it. Okay. Now, when you look at what the tool terminates, it'll terminate basic connections like these connections here are also referred to as 110 style. And on a category jack like this, those are considered 110. And on like a patch block like this here, these are also considered 110 style. Now, the other basic block in the industry for termination are these, which are called 66. And these are old telephone splicing blocks that have been around a long time. And there's Bix, and there's Krone, and there's a few others out there, but those are the basics. And so the tool terminates on all those connections. You just have to change out this bit. Now, the way we take the bit out of the tool, we'll just rotate the tool a quarter turn like that. The bit will slide out the face of it. And here's a typical 110 style bit where we've got one end has a fine cutting edge, so it will trim off the conductors, and one side has no cutting edge, so it won't cut off the extra conductors. And you'll find that the tools are color-coded, and this is blue and orange. And the orange side of this tool, the cutting blade on here will line up with it, and that always indicates that the orange side of the tool is going to cut the conductor off, okay? And there's a little snip right there to kind of indicate that's the cutting side of the tool, okay? Now, in the very back of the tool, this opening here is for bit storage, and if I take my little buttons on either side and push on them, a bit dropped out the other side here, and that is for 66-bit block terminations, okay? Now, the tool also has a little wheel right here in the middle, and it says low and high. And on the low setting, it's going to it will provide a certain amount of pressure that the spring provides on the connection. So when I push down on the tool, it kind of makes a popping noise. Okay. If I roll it over to the high side, it's going to apply more pressure to the connection and be a little louder there. And as a general rule, we like to work on the low side because these little printed circuit boards and devices like this don't like to get pounded on too hard. So we'll leave that over on the low side. And we'll put this bit back in the front. Now, I've seen a lot of bad techniques when it comes to punching tools, punching down with a punch-down tool. And in many cases, you know, you can ruin these connections right here, and just with the punch-down tool itself. And when I look at people using punch-down tools, you want to be pretty much straight up and down with the tool when you go to terminate it. If you're leaning the tool away from the cutting edge, it more than likely won't cut for you. If anything, we're going to lean it into the cutting edge. And when I say lean it into the cutting edge, I'm talking a couple degrees here, not 45 degrees, because, again, all this is a piece of plastic that we can tear up in the process of terminating. And you really can't punch these down and rip the wires out and punch it down and rip the wires out a whole bunch of times before it really becomes ruined. And over the years, I've started categorizing people. There's people I call the rapid fire people. They punch down and they insist and hit it multiple times because they don't think it did what it needed it to do. There are what I call the flare people that punch things down, and then they will flare the tool out to one side or the other like that, and they don't realize they're going to spread out this connection and actually can ruin it doing that. There's what I call the sawers of the world, and that's a person that likes to punch it down, and they almost insist in kind of wiggling it back and forth like this. The wigglers go this way with the tool, and the absolute worst are what I consider the pounders, and that's a guy that takes this tool and actually hits it pretty hard like that, and he actually impales the tool on. And so hopefully you're not doing any one of those things in the process of making up your connections. And watch the video, my YouTube channel. If you want to learn how to make up any of these connections, I probably have a video on it. So hopefully that helped you with punchdown tools and what they are and how we use them. And thanks for coming to another video. Hey, I'm Ron with Ideal Industries, and I'll plan on seeing you on the next one.